Hello and welcome to the Street Crime UK YouTube channel. Please don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe. Today we look at a drug dealer who was living it up abroad with his girlfriend, who herself was laundering money for his drugs operation. Christopher Williams, who was 32 and of Douglas Close in the Old Swan, had led a gang who flooded the streets of Barrow with Class A drugs. The court was told in detail how the county line's drug trade was lining the pockets of criminals in Merseyside and had a devastating effect on communities in the Cumbrian town. But while his workers were ferrying drugs and spreading misery up the M6, Mr. Williams and his 25-year-old partner, Lauren Callister, were themselves relaxing in the sun on a luxury holiday in Thailand. It was revealed that the couple had jetted off with friends to a luxury villa and tropical beaches in the southeast of Asia. Miss Callister, who had laundered around £15,000 of dirty cash from Mr. Williams via her bank account. Miss Callister had shared many photos on her social media account on boat trips and living the high life. One of the photos retrieved by the police showed a picture of the couple on a winter break, this time with another member of the criminal gang, convicted robber and drug runner Leon Benfield. This was along with other friends as they relaxed on the beach. However, Mr. Williams and Mr. Benfield's high life soon came crashing to a halt when they were both jailed over a Class A drugs plot at Preston Crown Court. Prosecutors said that Mr. Williams controlled and directed the operation in a conspiracy running between November the 1st, 2019 and June the 23rd of 2020. Members of the gang had travelled between Merseyside and Barrow on a regular basis to deliver drugs and collect money, while they were also recruiting people in both locations to increase their numbers and ranks in the organisation. A phone line was used to set up a sophisticated business, whereby group messages were sent to local drug users in Barrow at various times of the day, advertising the heroin and crack cocaine they had for sale. The court was told how once a customer replied, they would be told the location to meet and to buy the product. The court heard how more than 7,700 messages were sent to around 200 different mobile numbers in Barrow. Andrew Ford, who was prosecuting, said, "Cameras picked up vehicles coming into the town and leaving with money. The drug users could make calls or send messages to get drugs." Detectives from the Cumbria Police managed to identify the phone number that was being used for Operation Furtim. On the 19th of May 2020, detectives from Cumbria Police struck a home on Rawson Street in Barrow, where they caught Mr. Benfield and drug addict Kerry Mallet red-handed. Mr. Benfield, who was 30 of Black Horse Lane in Stonycroft, had 28 wraps of heroin and 5 wraps of crack cocaine on him. When the officers searched the loft space, they found $2,845 in cash, which Mr. Benfield was linked to by forensic evidence. The court heard how Mr. Benfield was previously locked up for 3.5 years in September of 2017, after he was caught with crack cocaine and heroin down his underpants in a pub toilet cubicle in Carlisle. Further investigation into the gang by Cumbria's police detectives had resulted in a series of raids on June the 23rd, 2020. Officers arrested Mr. Williams and Miss Callister when they raided the couple's home in Old Swan later that day. Officers discovered around £2,000 in cash, numerous mobile phones, and a master list of Barrow drug users that was kept by Mr. Williams, who was described as having knowledge on how to use the phone line. Mr. Williams pleaded guilty to 2 counts of conspiring to supply Class A drugs and was jailed for 8.5 years. His barrister, who was defending him in court, said that Mr. Williams had now focused on turning his life around and was hoping to move away and work as a bricklayer once he was out of prison. Mr. Williams also said that he took responsibility for Miss Callister getting involved in crime. Miss Callister had herself been charged with being involved in the same heroin and crack cocaine conspiracies, but she was later cleared of these charges. Miss Callister admitted converting criminal property, but had walked free from court after being handed a 2-year community order with a 50-day rehabilitation activity requirement and 80 hours of unpaid work. Mr. Benfield, who also admitted being part of the drugs plot, was handed a sentence of 5 years and 8 months. Other Merseyside members of the gang who were convicted as part of the drugs conspiracy included Kyle Annett, who was 26 of Croxteth Hall Lane, Paul McGovern, who was 40 of September Road, Anfield, and Matthew Renshaw, who was 28 of Woolacombe Avenue, St Helens. Mr. Annett was also said to have played a leading role in the operation as the director of the phone line. When Mr. Annett's home was raided, officers recovered more than £800 in cash, as well as a snap lock, bags, scales, white powder, and around 3 kilos of cannabis, and a debt who had later surrendered himself to the police was jailed for 8 years. The police said that Mr. McGovern was the driver for the crime group and would move people or drugs from Merseyside to Cumbria. He drove Mr. Arnett and Mr. Renshaw around to conduct their business, as well as taking solo trips to Barrow 12 times himself. Mr. McGovern was jailed for 5 years. Mr. Renshaw was said to be one of a network of people, including Miss Mallet, who worked on the streets of Barrow, either acting as stock keepers for the drugs and cash, dealing for the gang, or providing them with a base for their operation. Mr. Renshaw was described in court as an overseer in the Barrow side of the operation, who was trusted with money and would take trips from Southport to Barrow via Liverpool. Mr. Renshaw was locked up for 6 years for his part of the crime. Miss Mallet, who was 48 and of no fixed address, was handed a 9-month prison sentence suspended for 2 years. The court was told how Miss Mallet was previously jailed alongside 2 young dealers from Liverpool in a county lines drugs operation which took part in January 2020. Miss Mallet had told officers that she was a long-term heavy drug user and had been employed as a street dealer or runner, getting the drugs to customers on behalf of that gang. Speaking after sentencing of Mr. Williams and his gang, a spokesperson for South Cumbria Police, Serious and Organised Crime Team, said that it was working alongside the Merseyside Police Department to target county line drug dealers. The spokesperson said, "The drugs unit has an outstanding record of disrupting and convicting organised crime groups who set up in the area in an attempt to prey on vulnerable people for profit. The Serious Organised Crime Team works closely with colleagues in Merseyside to crack down on these individuals. We will continue to relentlessly pursue those involved in serious organised crime, arrest them and bring them before the courts for sentencing." Thank you for joining us today. What are your opinions on the crimes committed by Mr. Williams and his gang? Do you believe a sentence of 8.5 years was too harsh or not harsh enough? Please let us know what you think in the comments below. Thank you for joining us today. If you enjoyed this content, please don't forget to like and share. And if you're new to the channel and you enjoy the Street Crime UK content, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit the bell so you can join us on the next video. Thank you for joining us, and until next time, stay safe.